Hello, RE out there. This is Mark with HFT Reviews, and we're back with Incarnation of the Wind, Sorcerous Origin. This is coming from our very own Outrageous Maximum. So, this is a fairly specific Sorcerous Origin, based on the idea that the character came into contact with a powerful wind spirit, which bound itself to their soul. The character should take wind-themed spells, but it's not required. The features of the subclass are based on a tiered aura, where each tier costs more than the last but provides more benefits. These sorcerers are free-spirited and easygoing. The air itself listens to them, and a tailwind seems to follow them everywhere they go. Stirring their robes, right? Their hair. Extra sorcerer spells. The following spells are added to the sorcerer spell list. Oh, that's a lot of S's. You're just alliteration all over here. Long Strider, Zephyr Strike, Skywrite. I don't know what Skywrite is. Wind Wall, Freedom of Movement. I like that. So like with the Long Strider and Freedom of Movement, those are both nice because they don't require concentration, which is cool. They're like these little buffs you can do on people. But the idea that there's the wind, like with Long Strider, it's making you move faster, walk faster. That a tailwind is just pushing you along, and that as you walk, like every now and again, you just kind of like give a little hop, and you might float like a yard or two before your feet touch the ground again, like you're just gusted forward, as though you're a leaf upon the wind. And the same with like Freedom of Movement. The idea that difficult terrain, things like that, it's like every now and again the wind just catches you and you just kind of like twist around and land, as you float over a patch of rough things or something that would bind you up. So it's very colorful. I like that. Steel Wind Strike in control weather. Yeah, I like that. It's just anything that has to do with the air, what's in the air affecting you or everything around you. That's cool. That's interesting. At first level, you can cloak yourself in an aura of wind for 1 minute as an action. Okay, first level, cloak yourself in an aura of wind for 1 minute as an action. You gain the following benefits. Your movement does not provoke opportunity attacks. Okay, so you just kind of get whisked away from your enemies as you want. And for 1 minute, that's going to last an encounter, a battle, essentially. You do not take fall damage, and your fall speed is reduced to 60 feet per round. So it's not flying, but it means you can fall an unlimited distance in that 60 seconds. It means you can fall 600 feet without taking any damage. That'll pop up there. Since it's going to last 1 minute, 6 seconds per round, 10 rounds in the minute. Yeah, which is a pretty high fall. It means you can't fall from any height, like off the side of a cliff face, but yeah, you could jump off a very high tower for sure. Once per turn, when you deal damage to a creature that is large or small, you can, which is medium or small, or large, medium, or large or smaller. Large or smaller. It says that. Okay, large or smaller. Wow. I didn't read that right. You can push the damaged creature 5 feet in a direction of your choice as a bonus action. So once per turn, when you deal damage to a creature, can be any damage, including magic, spell, cantrip, whatever, that is large or small, you can push that damaged creature 5 feet in a direction of your choice as a bonus action. That's actually pretty beefy considering it works on a large creature. If it was medium or smaller, that would probably fall in line with some of the other things I've seen that can push a creature 5 feet, but large, yeah, the old, the cave trolls there, and you're just like, whoosh, right off the side of a ledge. So yeah, that's quite useful. And that it uses up your bonus action. I think that's fair. You have advantage on acrobatic checks. Again, the wind assisting everything you do. You ignore non-magical difficult terrain. So that's kind of like giving you the freedom of movement all the time. Well, for that 1 minute. You can activate this effect once per long rest. Afterwards, you can use it again for 2 sorcery points. Oh, interesting. Okay. I like that. I like that there's a cost to it. It is definitely limited. It's definitely capped. But that first one's free, so that's a nice touch. I'll tell you what I find very interesting as well. is that this is a high mobility subclass. That you really are meant to dance around, float around the battlefield. You're getting into places, you're getting out. The idea that you aren't taking provoking attacks of opportunity. There is no difficult terrain for you. You can, get over bodies, get over anything on the battlefield, and that you're pushing enemies away, creating space for yourself. So you're either moving into empty available space, or you're moving enemies away. So in a sense, if you use it properly, it's offense and defense together. But it's active defense on your part is the character. You have to be moving enemies or moving yourself to decrease the number of attacks incoming on you, at least for melee attacks. That's a nice touch. I'm hoping, I haven't read this yet, that there'll be some sort of arrow or missile deflection that comes with the aura, which would really help to push range attacks off of you. But let's see what happens. Okay, Awakened Spirit. At 6th level, you can imbue more of the Spirit's power into your aura. As an action, you can spend 4 sorcery points, or 2 points while the Spirit of the Wind effect is active from above, to create a powerful wind aura for 1 minute. Okay, so you could build upon the lesser one if you're trying to conserve sorcery points. You could start with the lower level one and then up it later, using an action again to do the upgrade. The aura has all the effects of Spirit of the Wind as well as a few new effects. Whew, I can't wait to find what they are, but it's very early and I am sleepy right now. Your speed, spelling correction there. This time I think I'm correct. Your speed and jump height distance are doubled. Your ranged weapon attacks have disadvantage against you. That is the wind tunnel effect I was thinking. But it works even against magical stuff. Even psionic stuff. Yeah, it's magical wind. We could say that. I think that's believable. Is that it works against anything from a range. It's just this magical flow of air and magic around you. I like that. Or that the air itself is twisting the weave around your character. Thus, like deflecting as though it's a gravity well and it's like causing moons to float around, magical spells as well. You can pass through the space of other creatures, but not end your turn there. Yeah, that's right. So you can have your enemy here and you just come and you just whoosh, float around them through their space, slightly over them. Very cool. Once per turn, when you pass through another creature's space, you can force them to make a dex save against your spell DC or take 1d12 bludgeoning damage. This is coming at 6th level. I think that's reasonable. Would that be magical or mundane bludgeoning damage? At 6th level, it should probably be magical, right? I mean, everyone's going to have magic attacks at that point. I don't think it's overpowered at all. It is requiring you to keep your character mobile, which is a big part of the theme. If you're not moving your character on a turn through the space of other enemies, kind of like weaving back and forth, zigzagging across the battlefield, you're not going to benefit from that little boost to damage. So it's almost like being like, yeah, if you want to play this subclass right, you have to be mobile on the battlefield. If you're not being mobile, you're not really using it to its full effect. So it's kind of rare to see a subclass that just goes hand in hand with how you have to like use the character in combat. But yeah, this is very much tied together. You can use your reaction after another creature's turn to move up to half your movement speed. So another little spelling mistake on that one. You could use your reaction after another creature's turn. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of like a legendary action in that sense, right? They come between turns. Yeah. To move up to half your movement speed. You only get one reaction, obviously, per round. So I don't think that's too much. Okay. Up to this point, the Sorcerer subclass doesn't get it's very mobile, but it doesn't have extra movement per se. I mean, I think the Longstrider would, but you don't get that unless you're casting it on yourself. So I like that. It'll be interesting to see if you gain more movement. We'll see what happens here. Easy breezy. At 14th level as an action, you can grant another creature within 60 feet of you the benefits of Spirit of the Wind for 1 minute for 2 sorcery points. Very cool. Only one other. You can grant another creature. No, it doesn't. This may need clarification. I'll read the rest of it. In addition, whenever you use a wind-themed spell, DM determines this, you gain 1 free sorcery point to spend on meta magic for that spell. Okay, I like that. You can't build them up. It's got to be used, I'm guessing. But let's jump back up to the top part here. I'm not certain. The way it reads, you can grant another creature within 60 feet of you the benefit of Spirit of the Wind for 1 minute for 2 sorcery points. Can you do that again to another creature, though, while keeping the benefits on the first creature within the same 1 minute window? It doesn't say you can't, but it doesn't say you can, so I'm not really clear on that. Could you just whip this up over the course of 3 or 4 turns and get your entire party gaining from the benefits of Spirit of the Wind for the remaining seconds from the starting minute? It would be kind of cool. It would burn up a lot of sorcery points. So yeah, I guess in that sense it's a massive trade-off if you're just going to eat through all your sorcery points. So maybe it's not unbalanced. Does it need clarification? I think it does. Because I think it's just a debate. I don't want to say argument, but I think it's a debate waiting to happen with your DM. So yeah, I'd watch out for that. The way I'm reading it, though, I would say just one other. Just kind of how it feels, but that's not my decision to make. It's the DM's or it's Outrageous Maximum's decision. And here we go, Capstone. A lot of stuff here. Avatar of the Winds. At 18th level, you can unleash the full potential of the spirit within you. As an action, you can spend 8 sorcery points. Is this many? Yeah. Or 4 points while Awakened Spirit is active to cause the air around you to obey your will for 1 minute. The aura has all the effects of Spirit of the Wind and Awakened Spirits, as well as the following new effects. You gain a fly speed equal to your walk speed, which at this point, unless you again have Longstrider cast upon yourself, which doesn't require concentration. So you could be burning the first level spell slot to Longstrider to take you from that 30-foot movement to that 40. All this while you could be doing that, which would make this just that much more effective. So good synergy. But you can fly now. Awesome. So 30 to 40 feet per turn, depending on how you're doing it. Your AC increases by an amount equal to your charisma modifier. Oh. I think that's a lot. I think that's a lot. But it's 18th level, right? You're at like the highest levels of play, so I don't think it's going to kill anything. I mean, you're going to have a +5 to your charisma at that point. 4 or 5, maybe a 6 if you've got an item or something that's giving you a +1 or 2 somewhere. Like taking you to 22 charisma, right? I don't think it's unbalanced. You're going to have a tank or 2 in your party that's rocking a 20+ AC at that point easily. So, yeah, I don't think it's cheating or unbalancing in any way. There's no cheating, but unbalancing. It doesn't make you a tank. You still don't have all the hit points. It just makes it so you're much more survivable. So at 18th level, I think that's pretty cool. You have advantage on dexterity checks and saving throws. All? No. Sorry. On just dexterity checks and saving throws. Because for a sorcerer, what is it? Wisdom, charisma? I don't know. Ooh, sorry. No, I'm curious. I might as well just look it up. Well, no, I'm thinking proficiency. So you're going to have proficiency in your charisma and whatever here. I'm going to look. I'll look at Warlock. Sorcerer. Sorcerer gets proficiency in Constitution and Charisma saving throws. This will grant advantage on dexterity checks and saving throws. So that gives you 3 really good saves for 3 of the categories. I like that. It's useful, and dex checks and saving throws come up a lot in the game. Once per turn, when you deal damage to a creature that is huge or smaller, you can force them to make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be pushed 30 feet in a direction of your choice as a bonus action. Oh my gosh. You could keep a huge creature at bay, pushing them back away from the party, forcing them to come towards you over and over again. Of course, you as the sorcerer can float away without provoking an attack of opportunity. But if on your turn you push back the enemy, it would allow your allies to disengage, back up 5-10 feet to stay just ahead. You could absolutely kite. Oh, you could kite mobs. Oh my gosh. Which is a term, I don't know, does everybody know what kiting is? Think like EverQuest, I think is where I first heard it, which is where you're just always backing away from an enemy, shooting them again and again as they close the distance. You're dealing damage, so by the time they reach you, they're nearly dead, or they don't reach you at all. So that's kiting. And then in World of Warcraft, frost-based mages can do it, right? They like freeze. They use like an ice-based attack that temporarily freezes the enemy and damages them, and then the magic user's just running away and around and just does it over and over and over because the cooldown like comes up and they just refreeze them. So that's another version of kiting in a sense, which ties into the theme wonderfully. It's only going to work against one creature at a time, though, so I don't think it's unbalanced. But yeah, you could take on some really beefy creatures. If they don't have a ranged attack, or if their ranged attack is relatively weak compared to their melee attacks, you're going to crush them with this. This is amazing. Not unbalanced. It's up to the DM to realize this ability is going to be there and have mixed combat encounters where there's not just a single solo creature the party's dealing with. At level 18 in particular, yeah. The Awakened Spirit's damaging feature increases to 2d12 bludgeoning. That's where you're floating through the occupied space of an enemy without provoking an attack of opportunity, and they have to make the dex save or take the damage, I believe. Roll back up here. Yeah, dex save against your spell DC. Okay, so 2d12. At that level, that's almost negligible, but yeah, the idea is you're going to want to be floating through, getting extra damage as you can. This is definitely not a massive damage dealer subclass, which is fine. I think the themes of everything else about it are pretty cool. If you are stunned, paralyzed, incapacitated, or rendered unconscious, you may choose a direction when it is inflicted. Oh, you move at a speed of 30 feet per round in that direction until you recover from that condition. I think it's it's infinite. I'd be careful. I would. Oh my gosh. And if you were to move against a wall, like if you move towards the wall of the city, you would press against it. You're moving west. It's not like you're going to push through the wall or crush yourself. It's just 30 foot, per round movement. And it's just, but you can't go any further that way. You wouldn't want to necessarily send yourself up because you might fall. That could be an issue. Although at this point, you could probably make yourself fly or float down. But I think you need to put a limit on that for up to 1 minute. Certain forms of stunning, paralysis, incapacitation, or unconsciousness won't just clear out. You don't get saves for. I mean, most you get a save for at the beginning or end of your turn. Eventually it'll come free, but I could see unconsciousness not. You just float forever out to sea. It's very colorful. I actually really like this last one. I'm just wondering if there needs to be a cap. Anytime something can be used infinitely, there's the potential for, I don't want to say misuse. I don't think the player could misuse it, to be quite honest. I just think it could make A glitch in the system. Yeah. Are there some paralysis in the game that can last for hours, potentially? Petrification. That would be an example. Petrification leads to paralysis. That's one of the sub effects of petrification. And incapacitation. I think it does all of them, actually. But so you're just a floating statue who just floats away to the west forever, just circling the planet. Every few years you come back around. Oh, that would be brilliant. Oh my gosh. And then one day some priest unpetrifies you, and you've been doing it for like the last 3 centuries. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. You're like Aang the Air avatar. Okay. This was one of the most colorful subclasses I've ever looked at. I hope I wasn't too low energy. It's early, and I honestly haven't done a video in like a week. I was kind of like taking like a mental health break. I mean, you guys know I do tons of videos with all the different sub channels and stuff, so I truly didn't sit down in front of the camera for like a week straight. It was good for me, but I am just like, it's all right. Good subclass. I really like this. I think the damage output is low by design. I think everything else you're getting in the subclass is not about being that beefy death dealer, but the fact that this is like allowing you to just move everywhere on the battlefield. Like if you've ever wanted to play the character who could just ping pong, not pinball, bing, 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 just bouncing everywhere with almost no repercussions. You have protection from ranged attacks. You don't provoke attacks for opportunity. You can move through enemy spaces. You can, yeah. It's probably one of the strongest theme subclasses we've looked at. Balance, I think it is. I think if anything, it's underpowered. Ease of understanding, I think that's one of the places that's coming up a little short, is just clarification. I mean, it's easy to understand what the intent is, but I think there were maybe 3 different things in there where I thought you needed a caveat or a little clarification on how it might work, only because I think it would come up definitely where players like, well, I want to do this, and the DM's like, I don't think that's how it should work. And just spare players from having to have that debate with DMs. Because it can lead to arguments. It certainly wastes time, if nothing else, right? Even if the player and the DM are very mature about how they handle it. So, and yeah, theme is all there. Fun, yeah, A++ on the fun. This is it's mad. It's so colorful. It's so simple. In a sense, it's actually extremely simple because it just builds linearly. Is that a word? Linearly building. Great. Okay. Well, Outrageous Maximum, thank you for sharing. I think we, as always, have about 4 or 5 things left in the queue. The subreddit is slowly growing. I think we're like 65 people. And not everyone gets in there so often, which is a bummer. I wish we were getting more like karmas and comments and stuff. But I appreciate you guys continuing to post there. I'm hoping we can get more people to post. But as it is, I have no complaints because we're at least a month out on these at this point. You guys keep feeding them to me, so it's going well. And the main, the YouTube channel is bit by bit growing. Every single week, there's a few more people who are coming in, finding it, and hitting that subscribe button. So certainly the view numbers are up. It's not uncommon for one of these we post now to get 100+ views, which is really good exposure for a subclass. I think even if some of the people out there who are consuming this on, we'll say on the YouTube, they may not be taking the subclasses or spells in whole, but some might. I think a couple may, but I think at the very least you guys are greatly influencing in putting the spark of imagination, lighting that spark in other people who are viewing, who are interested in things like homebrew subclasses and magic effects. I have no doubt that they're reading through these with us and are really being spurred to be creative on their own, which is, I think, the whole point. So thank you for sharing, everyone. And anyone who's watched with us, thank you for just taking the time. As always, they go long. That's what this is about. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.